everyone, and welcome to the Jam Yearbook. I'm Matt.
And I'm Jim.
Put on your captain hats and get your life jackets ready. Grab your umbrella drink of your choice. This week, we're going to talk about Yacht Rock. And we don't know whether it's going to sink or sail, but we promise it will not be a 3-hour tour.
No, you can't see it, folks, but I've got my White Claw on ice and my bikini top off, so I don't get any tan lines. I'm ready to sail.
I don't want to know if it is, so don't stand up. The bottom stays on. Nice coconuts, by the way.
Thank you.
Before we set sail, though, let me open my Arnold Palmer here.
There you go.
Yep.
If you aren't familiar with the term yacht rock, you're probably not alone. It is a rather new term, and we're going to talk about how it originated.
It was born out of a genre you may be familiar with. More often than not, this music is considered cheesy, and there are elements of cheese that will be talked about today.
And it's the kind of cheese that we grew up with. We like a lot of this music, even if we're not going to play it in every social circle. I guarantee you, Matt, we have both been guilty of singing a lot of these songs at the top of our lungs.
Yep.
Maybe not on a yacht, but definitely driving down the road when we're alone and the world of music belongs only to ourselves and nobody is looking. But a quick disclaimer, I can't say yacht rock without sounding like some hick from the Northeast Kingdom. Apologies in advance. If I fake it, I'm going to use the worst English accent you've ever heard. And people, we don't need that. So bear with me, please. I'm a little self-aware of the way that I pronounce yacht rock. It might make you wince a little. I understand.
It sounds like we're saying Yacht Rock.
Yeah.
Yeehaw, Mr. Man. I'm sure after living 52 years in Vermont, I sound like a hick most episodes, especially last week when I was pretty toasted. Little Mr. Dean Martin over here.
Mm-hmm.
And we sincerely apologize for how often we are going to say that phrase, Yacht Rock.
I know. Hey, Matt.
Yeah, Jim?
Before we get to the music itself, do us a favor and give the listeners a rundown on where yacht rock came from.
Alrighty. The genre label, it's kind of retroactively been used to describe the smooth blend of pop, rock, R&B, and jazz, sometimes called the West Coast sound. That was around in 76 to about in 1984. The origin of the name is widely credited to have been coined in 2005 by the web series called Yacht Rock, created by J.D. Reisner, Hunter Starr, and Lane Farnham. The series told the story of the origins, rise, and a little bit of the fall of Yacht Rock. Each episode was obviously, it's a fictional take on the life of these groups, but it focuses mostly on Kenny Loggins and Michael McDonald. Those two, they seem to be the most successful yacht rockers. The show imagines them as a group of friends and rivals lounging and recording in Los Angeles. The only time the show used the term yacht rock was during Hollywood Steve's intro to every episode. And one of the characters, Coco Goldstein, he was the kind of like the central figure that all the musicians drew inspiration from. He wore a captain's hat, a la Captain Stubing from The Love Boat. Personally, I remember first hearing people talk about yacht rock, and I would say, aren't you just talking about soft rock, easy listening? What's going on here?
Yeah, same. Isn't it just easy listening? Come on.
Yeah, but there is a little bit of a difference, and the line is blurry at times. It's pretty safe. Air Supply, soft rock, right? Steely Dan, Doobie Brothers, that's yacht rock. Without sounding like I'm joking around, there is a difference in the smoothness. It's not just a cliche. It's in the beat, and yacht rock doesn't really get overly dramatic. Listen to the end of Air Supply song, The One That You Love. You know, there's that break, but then he comes in with these big belting vocals. It's soft rock, even if that part is bold, but it's not smooth. Deacon Blues, Peg, Taking It to the Streets, those are smooth songs. And it's not smooth jazz. That's Kenny G. There's a delineation there too.
That definitely is smooth jazz, Kenny G. I played our Yacht Rock playlist that you prepared for us to get ready for this show last night to Linda. And she was like, why did some asshole think they could just rename easy listening? And she went off on how when you say yacht, it sounds normal, but yacht rock together sounds pretentious. It's pretty funny.
She's not wrong. It is a subgenre of easy listening. Here's the thing. When people bring it up, it's kind of in a joking manner, just like we've been doing this whole time, and it will probably continue throughout the entire show. It's like a cosplay thing. Hey, we're going to have a barbecue, but you can dress up like Steely Dan or wear some white shorts and a Hawaiian shirt. It's going to be so cool. It's going to be drinks, umbrellas, all the smooth music you could ask for. And I have a little bit of a theory that it's just people embracing the whole giggle wink towards Yacht Rock as an excuse to just be able to enjoy it out in the open. And well, this is not Jimmy Buffett, for fuck's sake, either. Sorry if you're a parrot head. I don't know what that is, but it's not Yacht.
No, it's not. So, we talked about this time frame, 1976 through 1984, and we were growing up during this time, and music was making a big impression on us. Where do you think you personally had your first exposure to Yacht Rock? I mean, when I think about it, for me, it might have been AM radio, KTEL records, or do you think there were other places that we probably would have been exposed to it as kids?
First exposure, that's hard to say. It's probably all of the above. Radio, KTEL, the roller rink, bowling alley, probably anywhere you went shopping. It's that inoffensive, smooth brand of music. It's catchy, so it can go over in a family atmosphere, and really didn't get branded to be Yacht Rock until, in the last 20 or so years. Doobie Brothers, Steely Dan aren't what I was hearing in my everyday life. They didn't seem to be my parents' jam. I don't think I really knew Kenny Loggins until Footloose. I probably heard songs, but didn't have that big, oh, that's Kenny Loggins click in my head. I knew I'm All Right from Caddyshack, but didn't know who sang it until after Footloose blew my mind.
It's funny that you say we might have heard it while we were shopping, because you're right. It fit into that scenario. Yeah. And I can just see us, whatever the Hannaford's or Price Chopper of the day was in 1979, with our mothers in shopping carts singing along to the Pina Colada song.
Yeah. Some guy in the next alley going, "Yamo be there."
But you're right. Every playlist I checked out preparing for the show seemed to have a 1-2 punch at the top of Kenny Loggins and Michael McDonald right at the beginning of it. So right here and now, who do you think would be the king of Yacht Rock?
Oh, we're going to let Kenny and the Michael duke it out. I was trying to think about that this weekend. I went back and forth, but who's the king? And it's obviously those two. And I think, and if you kind of squeeze Steely Dan in there, I think people created Yacht Rock just to have some kind of interconnection with those three groups and just kind of expand it. I got to give it to Michael McDonald. It's that voice. It's so recognizable. It stands out whenever you hear it. If you hear him doing a background vocal, you're like, oh shit, that's Michael McDonald. I mean, he had Doobie and solo success before joining the Brothers Doob. He was a member of Steely Dan's touring band, so he's got all that DNA.
Do you think when Michael McDonald, because we know he co-wrote a lot of songs with people, do you think when he showed up and they were jamming with him and he's just sang the chorus while they were preparing a song to be released, they were like, well, I can't sing that anymore. Now Michael McDonald has to sing that chorus.
Yeah, because once you hear him sing something, that's Michael McDonald's now. It's such a signature voice and style. And his voice, it's smooth, and it's got I don't know if it's called a rasp, but it almost sounds like like 2-3 people singing at the same time, because it just fills up that kind of space. And he sang backup for Steely Dan, James Ingram, that Yamo Be There. That's Michael McDonald, Christopher Cross, and Kenny Loggins. I think everything I've heard him involved with was smooth music. So that's where I have to kind of tip the hat to him, or tip the crown. And you thought the song "This Is It" was a Michael McDonald song. And I always thought it was a credited duet, because that voice is so identifiable. And Kenny Loggins, he grew with the times and became the soundtrack guy, right? Footloose, Top Gun, Caddyshack, as I was mentioning earlier. And he eventually returned to Pooh Corner. But Michael McDonald, he has stayed true to that Yacht Rock sound.
Pooh Corner. Let's talk about some of these other artists. Not all of them escaped that era and kept the same stature, though, to the likes of McDonald and Loggins.
No, the other major player that would be expected, we mentioned, is probably Christopher Cross. He burned so bright when he first came on the scene. His debut was a massive success. Sailing, Ride Like the Wind, they propelled the album to 5 Grammys, including beating out Pink Floyd's The Wall and Billy Joel's Glass Houses for Album of the Year. Cross has an absolute ripping solo during the outro of Ride Like the Wind. I don't know if you really ever paid attention to it, because it's kind of really buried in the mix.
Yeah, I've watched him play it on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. It's great. Amazing. And of course, Michael McDonald on backing vocals. So there you go. His success was more at the beginning of the 80s when the smoother music was starting to take a back seat as younger listeners turned their ears to higher energy genres, punk, new wave, more synth driven pop in that burgeoning hair metal scene that was going to explode. And hot take here, maybe this album was so huge that people finally said, enough of this smooth shit.
Yeah, that's what happens. Sometimes you reach the pinnacle with the best album and you're not going to go beyond that. So
Yeah.
I can see how
And everybody just taps out. Okay, we've had enough. We need something new. And something I really enjoyed learning this week, we have our king and Michael McDonald. Ted Templeman was the kingmaker. He produced all those older Doobie albums and still found time to bring his talents to Van Morrison and Van Halen.
That's incredible. But that actually makes me respect Templeman quite a bit more. In the world of music, a lot of people have tastes. Producers don't have tastes in music. They recognize a good song in any genre. They can hear a hit song. So it's really cool that he was able to take the Doobies, that rise to Yacht Rock, but also, I mean, come on, man. Eddie Van Halen also created an entire genre that came along in the 1980s with hair metal.
Yeah, and some producers take a back seat, like Rick Rubin. He'll just come in, listen to what they got, go, nope, keep trying. And others will try to like mold and say, no, let's do this, let's do that. So Ted Templeman, top-notch producer, all those lush instrument layers on the Doobie Brothers records, and it's still clear enough. You hear all the detail. It's just great. And regardless of whether you find Yacht Rock corny, cheesy, or maybe even a little cringy,
yeah,
you can't deny that incredible production sound. It's very honest. There's not a lot of echo or reverb, it's just superb musicianship. It was still at a time where, hey, if you needed a specific sound, you were going to use that instrument that made that sound.
And it was also the kind of music that you could bang to.
And day drink, right? We got half of that down right now recording. But and something that separates soft and yacht rock is that instrumentation. Yacht is going to incorporate different percussion instruments like bongos or chimes for that shimmer. There's an ambience and an atmosphere. Horns and saxophone are there, but it's not like blaring in your face. It sets a tone. And I also remember a lot of female backing singers too.
Yep.
Yacht it's a smoothed out mix of disco and R&B, a little bit of jazz, and the bass can't be too heavy. The bass is thumping. There's no humping to Yacht Rock.
It's also 70s mom rock in many ways.
Oh yeah.
I guarantee women prop this genre up in the 70s more than men did. Dudes, they may have liked Boz Scaggs. He had a couple of, rockabilly tunes, but the ladies were buying the 10cc, Firefall, and Gino Vanelli tunes.
Well, it's just like the bars, they want the bands that are going to get the women to come in. That way they get the men.
Yeah. And this was crossover rock before R&B really took over in the 80s. This is what white guys put on to get laid too.
Well, if cocaine was infused into funk to make disco, then R&B smoked pot and dropped some Quaaludes to make Yacht Rock.
There were a lot of one or two hit crossovers in Yacht Rock, or crossovers in the way that bands crossed over to disco, the way we've talked about Kiss or the Rolling Stones in previous shows. Kool and the Gang did this.
Yeah, they did. And I think it was their 79 album that they released, Ladies Night. It was their debut with James Taylor, JT, not the other James Taylor that did folky shit. It's poppy R&B with some funk undertones, little disco. They had matured and structured their sound quite a bit at this point. And Too Hot fits the smooth bill to go sailing, man. It just does.
Yeah, it's a great song. And speaking more of the one-hit wonders of the genre, we just brought up Boz Scaggs. I think a lot of yacht rock artists like him and many others wouldn't be recognized by name. As soon as you hum or sing a few bars of the chorus, everybody knows what you're talking about.
Perfect timing. I was just thinking about Boz Scaggs. Watch the video for his song JoJo. That's a perfect visual for yacht rock. He's got this white suit and just the way he's playing to the camera the whole time. It's like, yeah, that's corny, cheesy. You're the guy in that bar doing that.
And what kind of rock and roll name is Birdie Higgins? Birdie Higgins. That's about as far as you can get from a household name. But Key Largo's probably on a radio station somewhere in the world as we talk right now.
If you had just said the song title, I couldn't have told you who sang it. No, bang it on. I really do like that song. That's probably a name I relearn every 10 years.
Here's looking at you, kid.
And Birdie, what is Birdie short for?
Robert, I'm going to guess.
Maybe.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
something-
know. I mentioned earlier, jokingly, that it was easy listening music that you could bang to. Wait, it is no disrespect, but if you've got Yacht Rock in the background, you might be making sweet love. I'm just going to say that. This was the soundtrack of 70s afternoon delights. You had Dr. Hook singing Sharing the Night Together. Paul Davis, Cool Night. What a weird song.
I love that song though.
He's calling up his ex and saying, come on over. Let me hold you by the firelight.
Yeah.
If it don't feel right, you can go. Come on. And then Elvin Bishop, fooled around and fell in love. What does that mean? Like we just were supposed to fool around, I guess.
Yes. One night stand that turned into something wonderful. These artists, some of them might be the hardest one-hit wonder names to remember. Pablo Cruz, Love Will Find a Way, Player, Baby Come Back. Those are probably more what, when you say them, people would go, oh yeah. But yeah, Elvin Bishop, just say the name and you're like, what song does he sing?
But if you say the Pina Colada song, nobody's gonna pop their head up and go, Rupert Holmes.
That's right.
Yeah,
yep. Yeah, because even the singer names are just out of left field. Rupert.
And yeah, have you ever seen some of these guys? Paul Davis and Rupert Holmes look almost identical to each other. They're basic, like tinted glasses, big glasses with the full beards. And it's like some dad got up at the dinner table and started singing sexy songs to the mom in the 70s.
It made everybody cringe. It's a dad, sit down and stop drinking.
So what about TV theme songs in the 70s?
Oh,
I definitely could hear some influence there.
Oh, yeah. Love Boat, Three's Company. Oh, shit. Jack's friend Larry, he oozes Yacht Rock.
Oh, Larry, Leisure Suit Larry.
Oh, Leisure Suit Larry.
and I'm going to throw the theme from The Greatest American Hero in there. And for those who might not remember that, it was the Believe It or Not, I'm Walking on Air song, which I do think has been popularized in other media since then. So, but I mentioned that song to you earlier this week, and your response to me was, I have had that song in my head all week long.
I have. I love that song. Because of that damn TV show.
Me too.
And all you got to do is say, believe it or not. And then all of a sudden I got that guitar solo in my head. It goes, believe it or not. Believe it or not. It just runs through my head. I can't stop it. It's like Eric Cartman in Sailing. I just can't stop. Or Come Sail Away. I'm sorry, not Sailing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And if you remember older episodes of SNL, Saturday Night Live, usually, in the last commercial breaks, they go to a commercial, then they come back to the band, then they go back to the commercial for like 30 seconds. In the band, it's usually kind of like a Yacht Rocky song.
Yeah.
Because it's the end of the night, winding down,
Yeah, it wasn't smooth jazz. It was more Yacht Rocky. You're correct.
Yep.
So do you think that Yacht Rock has had maybe a small continuation into modern day music? Because when I think of a modern day artist who might be a little influenced by Yacht Rock, I definitely think of John Mayer. He instantly comes to mind.
Yeah, good pull. Yeah. When he goes for the hits, it's smooth. It's spot on Yacht.
His last radio hit, I think I put it on the playlist and then you pulled it off. But New Light definitely deserves a captain's hat. And
Mayer Hawthorne kept coming up when I was trying to find something current that captured the sound in the field. He's not a household name that John Mayer. Hey. They should make an album together. John Mayer Hawthorne. We just did it. I mean, it just writes itself. See how cheesy Yacht Rock is?
That sounds like a bad book we'd have to read in English class in high school.
Oh my God. Yeah. Full of terrible poetry.
Yes.
But again, see how cheesy Yacht Rock is? How many bad jokes and snide comments have we made? It's the old wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more, say no more.
Nod's as good as a wink and a blind bat. Hey, Squire, say no more, say no more.
Is your wife a goer?
Only when I'm putting the captain and Tennille on.
All right. So we're going down this road. Let's just make a Jantel, a K-Tel Yacht Rock album. 5 songs
Let's
each.
do it.
I'll take side A. You can have side double A because there are no B-sides.
No. All right, you got side A, so why don't you run down your list of songs that you're going to put on there?
All right, hopefully I've sequenced these right, so it provides the right atmosphere. But we're going to start out with the Doobie Brothers, What a Fool Believes. That is typically believed to be like the #1 A++ yacht rock song, usually
Yep,
at the
yep.
top of everybody's list. Christopher Cross, we're going to bring it down with Sailing. Toto, Rosanna, still bringing it down, but still a little bit of energy. But then we're going to come up with Little River Band, Reminiscing, and then finish off side A with George Benson, Turn Your Love Around.
That's such a good song. And I have to say, you had to probably be on the fence with Christopher Cross between Sailing and Ride Like the Wind.
Yeah. Or even Arthur's
Yeah.
theme, kind of. I like that song
Oh,
too.
that's true. Yeah. I do think we're going to do an audience poll to add to this playlist. So we'll pop it up just for giggles for people, and maybe Ride Like the Wind will still make it. I think it will have a good chance.
Yeah.
All right. So it's my side, double A.
Yeah. What's double A going to bring us?
Double A is going to bring Steely Dan's FM. This song came from a movie in the 1970s that I never saw. I have no idea. I think maybe it was a take on before or after or around WKRP in Cincinnati. It might have had something because you definitely know Herb Tarlick was going to put on some Yacht Rock.
Oh, he is a Yacht Rock dude.
Yeah,
he is. And how did you select the Steely Dan song? That had to be just as hard.
It was very difficult. In fact, I swapped it out. But then I remembered what kept going through my head. Like FM, the chorus to that is, if you say Steely Dan to me, that's the first thing I hear. There are probably a lot of Asia fans out there who are angry with me for that. Yeah. Understandably, Peg could possibly be the top song, and maybe that'll still make the playlist.
And I think Don Henley and Glenn Frey sing backup on this one.
Yeah.
So they bring in the Eagles.
Yeah. Yep. Then I have Kenny Loggins, and I think this song was part of that 1-2 punch where you talked about the Doobies holding that number one spot. The song is This Is It. You're right, because Michael McDonald sings the This Is It part on the chorus. I thought it was a Michael McDonald song as a kid growing up, but then I listened to it and I thought, wait a minute, that is Kenny Loggins. But I'm going to stop this for just one moment and bring this really interesting Michael Jackson theory that I developed this week around this song. So This Is It. If you listen to it, the intro, the groove, the beat, there's even a little kind of thing going on that he does vocally before the song kicks in. It sounds like very early 1980s to Thriller Michael Jackson music. There's something that's there that fits that very well. And then I went and had a look at the album, and I looked at the production because I thought, wait, this sounds like Michael Jackson. And sure enough, Michael Jackson does perform on another song on the album. So Michael would have been hanging around in the studio while Kenny Loggins was making this. Here we go. Michael Jackson, when he died, he was preparing to do a massive concert in London, and they made a documentary about that concert and the making of it right up until his death. And do you know what that documentary was called?
Drum roll, please.
This Is It. So there you go.
Conspiracy theory, Jim.
Yeah.
I like it.
Hey, you know, the world always knows how to tidy things up, doesn't it?
Yes. Everything comes down to the number 23 eventually.
They do. So you brought it up earlier. I added it to the playlist. It was Kool and the Gang's Too Hot because I couldn't not have that there. Then I have Seals and Croft, Summer Breeze, and that's got a bit of a different feel from the other Yacht Rock songs, but it still fits right in with everything else. And it just has that feeling of the wind blowing through your hair when you're listening to it. And finally, I had to bring on Hall & Oates and the song Kiss on my list because we haven't brought them up yet. And when I did look through different playlists and read through some different articles about the history of Yacht Rock, they definitely got brought up, but I think they dance around a bunch of different genres a lot more. And I think their pop songs definitely drove them to higher fame, but Kiss on My List fits right in with the Yacht Rock genre. And we've gone easy on them because of our genuine love and respect for Hall & Oates.
Yeah, love Hall & Oates. Can't bang on them.
Yeah.
Hey, we did it without having every song feature Michael McDonald. There was a couple, but wait, hold on though. I'm looking through all this list that we have in front of us. Are there any women yacht rockers? This could be proof it's dudes peacocking to try and get laid.
Hey, like I said earlier, in the 70s, this could have been mom rock, and they were propping this up. And as it crossed over before R&B took the charts in the 80s, yeah, you're right. This is this and a good Hawaiian shirt, and you know. and a boat. And a boat.
in a boat. Yeah, because who's got a yacht, really? Seriously.
Yeah.
But is it just us or the genre being misogynistic?
I don't think it's the genre totally, but I could only find one song in my research that got called a worthy addition. I actually Googled, are there any women yacht rock performing artists? And it did come up with an article about how they were very absent from this genre. Nicolette Larson had the song, It's Gonna Take a Lot of Love.
Oh,
If you know
yeah.
that
Okay,
song,
yeah.
you know, you might know it not by name, but if you heard it, you would.
If you don't get it from what Jim just sang, then you
Yeah,
have to
you
have to go look it up.
Go look it up. Go look it up. There are many that came close. Olivia Newton-John, she had Magic, which was popular, and that was probably her closest song to the genre. But you had these really strong women singer-songwriters or performers from the era that didn't fit into that category, like Carole King, Linda Ronstadt, and Carly Simon, who, surprise, had a duet with Michael McDonald.
If you want, he was a hit maker back in the day.
He was. You might get away with a Fleetwood Mac song or two on that list.
Yeah, and I'll put, this might be on the outside, but Blondie, The Tide is High, maybe.
Possibly, yeah.
Possibly. And maybe even the Pointer Sisters for a couple.
Yeah.
He's So Shy, maybe. I don't know.
That kind of fits in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Slow Hand, that can
Oh,
still
Slow
kind
Hand,
of fall
yeah.
into that category. You know, the article that I read was written because the guy was driving down the road and he said he was on about an 8-hour ride. And he realized that for 5 hours of listening to a Yacht Rock station, the very first female artist came on.
Okay, so we're not the only ones that are wondering this.
No, yeah. So
hold on though. So how often do you hear female singers or bands referred to as cheesy or corny, like we've been banging on Yacht Rock for being? And that's kind of because that's kind of the cliche of the rock of yachts.
Women just have more class.
Well, that goes without saying. We're just dumb cavemen.
Yeah, definitely in the 70s. Even Donna Summer and Diana Ross disco songs were cool. You know, Gloria Gaynor. Guys were making songs about disco dogs.
Oh, Rick Dees, jeez.
Yeah. And when women get cheesy, it becomes a cult classic, something like It's Raining Men.
Oh, so Yacht Rock is like the dad joke of music then. I think that's what we boiled it down to. It's the music. It's the music being played in 70s smoky tiki bars. You could probably rate the yachtness by where the guy stopped buttoning their shirts, you know, halfway down, you know, when you can see the shag carpet there, it's anchors away, full steam ahead. Oh my Lord. Oh, wait, we should really stop though. People are going to start thinking we don't like the songs. We like the songs, but we also understand that, yeah, the whole like mythos and culture around it, it's a little on the corny side. It's just a genre that's easy to bully around.
It's easy to bully around, and it's fun to come here and talk about. And we did precursor the show with our previous episode saying we're not going to be nice about everything anymore.
No,
the good thing about cheese is you can poke holes in it and you just have a different kind of cheese.
Yeah, you got Swiss.
Exactly.
See, the dad jokes, they just come when you're talking about Yacht Rock.
So I do think we're going to call it a show.
Yes, we are calling it a show. We are done with talking about Yacht Rock.
Yeah, I'm not going to miss listening to Yacht Rock for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been nice, but you can overdo it.
Yeah, I need some new music. So that's what we're going to do next, everybody.
Yeah, and I need to get off of this friggin' Arnold Palmer too. It's tearing a hole in my gut already. Yes, we are going to recap August of 2023, and hopefully we're going to discover some good treasure there.
I think in the first show where we covered the start of the year, we only talked about albums. We didn't really talk about singles. And we had to talk about this last week, Matt, and we're going to bring singles around. I think it was easier, though, to cover, you know, a 7-month window just talking about albums, because if we talked about singles, there would have been way too much out there for us to talk about. But so that we stay current, we will talk about new albums and big singles, or if they're not that big, but you should just be paying attention to it anyway.
Yeah, the last show, it was like it was a mini year recap that we typically did during the Jam Yearbook.
It is. August is going to dig a lot deeper just into the singular month. And that episode is going to come out on September 15th.
perfect timing because it's going to be beautiful fall weather. And what else do you want to do than curl up with a beer and listen to these two fools talk about music?
Well, maybe we'll find something good for everybody to listen to.
No, let me see. September, it's going to be pumpkin spice something.
Matt, pumpkin spice is like Yacht Rock. It's just too easy to bang on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. It doesn't need to be everywhere, folks.
No, it doesn't. I think it's my turn to wrap it up this week.
It is. Take it away.
I will. Hey, everybody, thank you for listening to me say Yacht Rock about 100 times in the past half hour. We hope you've enjoyed this cheesy show. It's a fun new format for us, and it's nice not to worry about whether or not we're delivering every moment of history in a year to you, and we just get to be ourselves a little bit more. So we hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. Matt, as always, it is phenomenal. Great to do a show with you. A lot of fun.
Yes, it's been a lot of fun, Jim. Thank you. And we'll see you next time here on the Jam Yearbook.
Peace, love, and podcast.